once again, a very happy evening to one and all. So as all of you know that SNTTC has always taken a new step in its journey. Always it has done some research. Always it has done something new for its participants. This time also we have come up with an idea that is a condensed version of NCF. As educators, we spend lots of time with lesson planning, with students in the classroom, with lots of administrative work, whatnot. If we start on mentioning the works of teachers, the list doesn't, end. There is lots of work we do as an educator. But even during that, even after having such a busy schedule, we are expected to work as per the vision of the education policy. So this step is a small attempt as to reduce the work, the not as to reduce the matter that is given in a 600 pages document to, a small amount and make it easy for everyone to understand, apply it in your classroom, and also enjoy working as per the vision of the education policy. So today we are here with a 5 days webinar, and we are very much excited like you all. You can look at the charming faces of the resource persons of SNTTC. They are also very much excited because they have also tried doing something new, because bringing 600 pages document, to few slides is not an easy thing. So they are very much happy and they're very much ready to share their homework that they have been doing for all these nights, I should say. They were sitting and working throughout the nights with you all. So let us start with this session with this notion of never-ending, training and never-ending knowledge grasping. Firstly, I would like to welcome the first resource person of the day, Mrs. Ashwini Srinivasan, resource person of SNTTC, as well as soft skill trainer and a math and English facilitator, who is here to give her valuable insights about the chapter 1 of part A, that is approach of National Curriculum Framework 2023. The stage is all yours, Mrs. Ashwini Srinivasan.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, my dear team members, and good evening, dear participants. Yes. What is seen in the picture? Chapter 1. Any guesses what it could be?
Skill-based.
Okay.
Students are involved in various activities.
They're doing project.
Environment.
Experiential learning.
Activity based.
Regarding environment and all.
Okay, environment, activity based.
Handwork.
Work. Okay. Okay. This first chapter of this NCF describes the aims of school education and outlines the elements of the curriculum which has to be followed. So here first comes the aims of school education. Here the first point is rational thought and autonomy. It develops independent and critical thinkings. So what could be done here in the rational thoughts? Playway method of teaching. Okay. Okay. Here in the first point, it is based on the choices like rational analysis, creativity, and a grounded understanding of the world, which makes the child to get more knowledge, which gives them rational reasoning, and which makes them to gain knowledge with both breadth and depth. And here when they develop independent critical thinking skills, they open up with their new ideas, they think critically and creatively, and thereby they create some own ideas and they come up with their own opinions. And the second point is health and well-being. Here it emphasize physical, emotional, and mental well-being. So here, a healthy mind and a healthy body are the foundation for an individual to pursue a good life and contribute meaningfully to society. So here, in the school education also, it is a wholesome experience for students and they should acquire knowledge. How they will acquire knowledge and how they are ready, like in mind also, as well as in their physical health also. And health and well-being thus also include in particular like the ability and inclination to help and to ensure the health and wellness of others, of one's surroundings, and of the entire environment. The next third one is democratic participation. It encourage active participation in democratic process. So here, how it will be, any guesses, dear participants?
It says about participation in groups.
Yes, ma'am, you're right. Okay, here it uh, acquires the knowledge, capacities, and values and dispositions developed that to be oriented towards sustaining and improving the democratic functioning of Indian society. Here, the goals articulated in NEP 2020 point to the development of an individual who can participate and contribute meaningfully to sustaining and improving the democratic vision of India and the Indian Constitution. The fourth point is economic participation. Here, participants, we request everyone to mute.
Ashwini ma'am, kindly unmute yourself.
Yes. Here, the fourth point is economic participation. Equip students with skills to contribute to the economy. So here, it gives effective participation in the economy as positive impacts on the individual and on the society. So it provides material sustenance for the individual and generates economic opportunities for others in society. And the last point is cultural participation. What will be the cultural participation? How it is going to link with aims of school education? Any guesses, dear participants?
In the form of art and different forms of arts we can take, which are that is practiced. Like it
Okay,
may be
ma'am.
different forms of dances also. It can be the visual forms. Uh,
Okay, ma'am.
it
Thank
can
you.
it can
Yes,
be
yes.
okay.
Yes, you can go ahead, Rajeshri, ma'am.
There are different forms of arts like visual arts and the performance, like where we perform arts. So through this art, we can inculcate the values of our cultural values also.
Okay. Okay. So now here, cultural participation, promote understanding and contribution to cultural heritage, that is national curriculum framework, that school education 2023, which is a revised version of August 2023. Here, it is linked with NEP 2020, expect students to have a rootedness and pride in India and its rich, diverse, ancient, and modern culture and knowledge systems and traditions. So, understanding this culture and heritage is embedded in the family and community, and it is related to nature at the core of its cultural participation. Cultural participation is not only in the school, also it is also linked with community based, like families, friends, etc. So here, students should also acquire capacities and a disposition to contribute meaningfully to culture. Cultures from a position of being confident and deeply rooted in Indian culture is very desirable. Any doubts in these 5 points?
No, ma'am.
Next one, sir. Next slide, sir. Okay, here comes the curricular areas. The first curricular area is language. So it focuses on multilingualism, emphasis on effective communication and culture literacy. So here, language is not just a medium which we take, which we read, which we learn. It is not merely a tool or acquiring different forms of understanding. Language education makes effective communication that is possible and equally develops aesthetic expression and appreciation. And it is particularly in the context of India, multilingualism, sensitivity to and appreciate of a diverse set of languages, and cultural literacy and expression are desirable outcomes of language learning as articulated in NEP 2020. Next comes the mathematics. Here it develops logical reasoning, problem solving, and computational thinking. So here, mathematics is a form of understanding the world through patterns, measurements, and quantities. Mathematics education also develops capacities for problem solving, logical reasoning, and computational thinking. Here comes the third one is science. Here it is the understanding the nature world through inquiry and scientific temper. So here science is a form of understanding the natural world. It has its own specific methods of inquiry, reasoning theories and concepts, and practical learnings from the laboratories beyond aiding in gaining an understanding of the natural phenomena around us. Science education helps develop rational thought and scientific temper. The next comes is social science. Here, social science aims to understand. Here, it focuses on understanding societal structures and participation. So here, social science aims to understand the human world, like politics, in which state what is happening, in which country what is happening, where the war, so on so. The methods of inquiry in the social science are evidences based and empirical through specific methods of reasoning. Here, additionally, subjective experiences are analyzed through interpretation and reflection. Social science helps in promoting students' effective culture, economic, and democratic participation. And next comes the art education. So art education is always, as we know, it is something creativity. Which one they like, they will do it in the most interesting way with the more ideas. So it encourages creativity and cultural engagement. So art is a form of understanding through which we make aesthetic sense of our experiences. Like for lower class students, we can say it as drawing, coloring in different ways. For secondary school or high school students, it will be like writing essays, writing poems or poets in their own languages, mother tongues, etc. So here, students love to participate meaningfully in our culture or in their culture, and because art involves the physical, emotional, aesthetic, and intellectual parts of ourselves, learning it also helps contribute to the students' general well-being and integrated development. And the next one is physical education and well-being. As students, everyone loves physical education. So when they love physical education and when they involve more in sports, they will be good in teamwork, etc., etc. So here, physical education and well-being promotes physical health, ethical values, and teamwork. Here, physical education and well-being focuses on developing capacities for maintaining health, well-being, and emotional balance through engagement in sports, games, yoga, and other techniques. Important ethical, moral, constitutional, and democratic values are also developed. And next comes the last one, occasional education. It develops skills for economic participation. So here, vocational education intends to develop capacities for sustenance, work, and economic participation. As per NEP 2020, it has given a strong emphasis to giving occasional exposure and developing occasional skills from very early stages of school through higher education. Any doubt in this 7 points? That is curricular areas. Next slide,
No,
sir.
ma'am.
Okay, the next one is interdisciplinary areas. It aims to develop interdisciplinary thinking, integrating
Yes,
knowledge.
Mrs. Ashwini. Now, I just want to, like ask something. Now, whoever comes forward as to give an immediate, summary of what Ashwini has told will be getting a star. Who is coming forward? You have been listening throughout this, 20 minutes. Who is coming forward? Just to summarize, sum up what all Ashwini has discussed. Oh, now I should name then. Pushpalata Chaudhary, ma'am, will you please? Okay. Pushkarini, ma'am, will you please?
Hello, sir. Sorry, I have joined late. I have just joined her a little bit earlier, so I will not be
Yeah,
able to
you
do
can
justice
summarize
to it.
whichever topic you have listened to. That's okay. Not the complete one also.
Sir, I've just been able to last bit the interdisciplinary part of how curricular activities are able to help our different disciplines and how we are inculcate them and make our teaching better.
Okay.
So that is the part which I actually heard. So I
Okay.
have not been able to. I joined a little late. Sorry.
That's
In the
okay. That's
beginning, like we learned about aims of school education or the different aims.
okay. Can you tell
So,
what are those aims?
uh, which I had, which I remember is
Yeah,
cultural
that's okay.
participation, cultural participation, which was told democratic participation was there.
Wonderful.
Then economic economic participation. Uh,
Wonderful.
about health also.
Yeah, health and well-being. Very good. You have said three. Only two more are there.
Democratic participation, about economic, cultural participation.
Yeah, cultural participation, democratic participation, economic participation. Two more.
Rational thought and autonomy,
Wonderful, Tarang ma'am. Wonderful.
and health and well-being.
Yeah, wonderful. So three of you, Pushpalata ma'am, here is a crown for you. And
Thank you,
what?
sir.
Yeah, and Rajshri ma'am, here is a crown for you. And also
Thank you.
Tarang ma'am, here is a crown for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Come on, Mrs.
And
Ashwini.
the second part, if I may add, was
Yeah,
that
please.
through
Yes.
different subjects or what we
Yes.
refer to as subjects,
Hmm.
language, mathematics, social science, each one of them is going to contribute to these basic school aims in
Hmm.
different ways. So, ma'am was giving examples of how each subject will, you can introduce some concepts and they will contribute to more than one of these aims. That's it.
Wonderful.
That is
Push,
that is
uh,
different areas which we have to, emphasize. The subjects that we learn through these subjects, how we can improve ourselves, or we can inculcate the values among the students. Like if you talk about vocational education, what ma'am had mentioned about science, scientific temperament, we have to inculcate in them. Then art education, through that also we have to, like, engage them in different activities. And if you talk about mm, mathematics, like where they improve their thinking, solving, problem solving. In science, we have like critical thinking and problem solving, reasoning. You can say like many different parameters we can talk about. Then, if you talk about physical education, is almost which promotes the team, team temperament, we can say, or the working in a team, working in a team, like together. And also some values like ethical values, moral values, different values can be inculcated. Where I would like to say it also helps to work in team, like teamwork, what we can say. And languages, though, it is lingualism, where it focuses on. And I
Yes, wonderful, ma'am. Very good. So, no doubt you deserve a crown studded with diamonds, and here it is. Yes, we are very much happy to have wonderful participants like you. Yeah. Yes, Mrs. Ashwini, you can continue.
So, slide. Okay, here our next topic is, our next point is interdisciplinary areas. Even it is in this part is included in the curricular areas. As it is most important, we are taking it in a separate view and we are going to discuss more about it. Aims to develop interdisciplinary thinking, that is integrating knowledge from various fields like environmental education and computational thinking. So here in this interdisciplinary areas, it is the understanding which gives disciplinary knowledge and depth. Interdisciplinary knowledge and thinking is also an important goal which engages students to have discipline wherever they go. If they are in a family also, or family also in the sense when they are in the family circle also, when they are in the school premises also, it is most important. So here, engagement in interdisciplinary areas develops capacity for interdisciplinary thinking and problem solving. This curricular area therefore complements the disciplinary thinking of a 5 disciplinary curriculums. So here, beyond this form of understanding, physical education and occasional education are important curricular areas. So here, interdisciplinary education is also most important with other subject. Next one, sir. Here comes learning standards. Here the first one is curricular aims, board educational goals for each stage. So here, what it will be, board educational goals for each stage, in the sense, what is the stage here? What is mentioned as a stage here?
the platform where we can.
Okay. Any other answers?
Primary and so on.
Yes,
Pre-primary,
ma'am.
primary, middle.
Yes. Stages like pre-primary, primary, middle school, secondary schooling, and high school, etc. So here, which has to be taught to them? What is the goal? What, that is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. In that format, how we are going to make the students to reach the goal of NCF, or how we are going to make them to understand the things. Next one is curricular goals. It is more specific objectives for different curricular areas. So curricular goals, in the sense, for specific subjects, we have specific goals. As we have discussed about curricular areas in the previous slide, for each subject, there will be some specific objectives, right? Do you agree with me, dear participants?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So according to those specific objectives, how we are going to build our curricular areas here. And the third one is competences, that is observer skills and ability derived from goals, how they observe, how we observe the students, so and so it is pointed here. And next one is learning outcomes. Here, granular milestone of assessing learning is how, from what we have taught to the students, what they have understood. First of all, after teaching and after explaining each and every part, what they have understood, what is the outcome they got from that particular topic, we have to question the students. So this structure of, that is learning curricular aims, curricular goals, competencies, and learning outcomes. This structure emphasizes an integrated and holistic approach to education, focusing on both disciplinary knowledge and life skills. Next slide, sir. It's over. Now it is over to Aarti ma'am. The stage is all yours, Aarti ma'am. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity, and thank you, participants.
Before the mic is passed over to Aarti ma'am, I would really like to appreciate Mrs. Ashwini Srinivasan, who has wonderfully summed up the whole content of chapter 1 into such a beautiful presentation. No doubt you deserve a big round of applause, Mrs. Ashwini Srinivasan. Yes. And
Thank
now,
you, sir.
yes, now the much awaited chapter that is all about logic of school stages. So since 2020, most of us still we are not unaware what's the actual logic behind having these four stages in the school. And if at all they have done that bifurcation, what is that each stage is going to have differently in them? So for that, we have none other than I should call the administrative proactive person, Mrs. Aarti Khillan, whom I should say the spine in the bone of SNTTC and our advisor here to share and give you glimpses about the school stage and its design. The stage is all yours, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ashwini. So you have wonderfully articulated the aims of school education for the NCF, and now the corresponding set of desirable values, dispositions, capacities, and knowledge, how they are required to achieve these aims. So this lesson throws light on that. Now, dear teachers, we are all educators over here. NEP has already recommended that schooling can be imagined in 4 stages. Come on. Already it has been given on the screen as well, but I would like everyone to participate. What are the 4 stages? Unmute yourself and tell us. What are those 4 stages? Ashwini has already given them once.
Kindergarten, primaries, middle,
Yeah.
and secondary, higher secondary.
Perfect.
I mean 5
So,
plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, yeah.
4, exactly. So NEP 2020 has already recommended that schooling will now be imagined in 4 stages, and the design, as ma'am said, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. And it covers all the ages from 3 to 18, and it is based on physical, cognitive, and social economic, in fact, ethical development of the students. I can say our children. So this chapter, which is called Logic of School Stages, it outlines the logics of all the 4 stages of schooling. And the specific consideration is on the curricular structure, the content, the pedagogies, and assessment for each of these stages and their relevance for achieving the aims of school education. And we as teachers, it is a sin if we don't know the relevance. Why? If I'm teaching primary class, what is the content? What is the pedagogy? How I have to assess the students? This is so important for all of us. And there are some common processes. There are some stages in the maturation, the growth of the child. and it is critically important for us to understand the development of the child to have appropriate educational expectations at a particular age. Yes, sir. So understanding the trajectory of child development helps in developing a quality curriculum with developmentally appropriate pedagogy and the assessment. As you can see on the screen, child development occurs through biological, cognitive, and social emotional processes. There are appropriate education expectations at each stage. There are developmental milestones at each stage. And if you can see, the new structure covers the age group of 3 to 18. The foundational stages from 3 to 8. That means there are 3 years of preschool, which will be followed by 2 years in the primary grade. It is play-based learning. The pedagogy is play-based learning. Then comes preparatory stage. It is meant for the age group 8 to 11. Here the textbooks are introduced. We have experiential learning. We have activity-based learning. And this decides the foundation, the basics of the students. Coming next is middle stage. It is for the age group 11 to 14. Subject-specific learning is there. There are different subjects with 2 languages, then math, science, social studies, and subject-specific learning begins with the teachers for distinct subjects, every teacher. Till now, we had mother teachers, co-teachers, and here we have subject-specific teachers. Last is, at the school level, is the secondary stage, which is for the ages 14 to 18, specialized learning, multidisciplinary approach, different subject streams. All these comes under secondary stage, which we will like to take in detail further. Next. Now, when we talk about curricular design, each stage has a specific cognitive and developmental milestones. When I say milestones, it means genetic and epigenetic factors. The material conditions all have impact on child's body, such as height, weight, development of the brain. There are some cognitive experiences and stimulations that affects the child's thought process, intelligence, and the kind of the language, the use of language. Socio-emotional experiences are there, and stimulation that teachers have in the class. They all affect child's relationship with adults, the peers, emotional regulation, and personality. So this curriculum involves more, abstract and complex concepts just as student progresses, and it focuses on their disciplinary knowledge and the skills. Coming up next to the foundational stage. As I already said, it ages from 3 to 8. Key features, play-based learning. And here we require to develop the foundational literacy and numeracy. We try to nurture teacher-student relationship over here. And coming on to assessments, these are all observation-based rather than formal tests. I'm sure you will support me when I say it is only FA, formative assessments. Who will tell me what is FA? When we talk about literacy, numeracy, FA tests, what are those FAs?
Ma'am, FA means
Formative assessment.
Ma'am, formative assessments. Formative assessments.
And how is it different from essay? How is it
Formative
different from
assessments
summative?
are summative assessment essays are taken at the end of the semester or terms, whereas formative assessment, what we are doing is that during the development of a concept in a particular subject, we take small tests. That is considered as
while learning is going on, that is called formative assessment.
Yes.
Okay. So, why do we require formative assessments at the foundational stage?
Ma'am, because they will give us a better insight about the day-to-day enrichment of a student rather than having it at the end of the session or at the end of the term. formative assessments will help us to know our child better at different stages, not just at once, but at different stages. Particularly, like we can have a day-to-day or weekly uh, enrichment of a child, or we can know a child better at different stages. It could be monthly, weekly. We can know a child better.
That's
It's an
perfect.
assessment for learning.
It is
This formative
perfect. Perfect
for
answers.
learning.
I'm so proud
Formative.
that, I'm dealing with such an elite group of educators today. Moving on
Thank
to
you,
the
ma'am.
next stage, preparatory stage. Yes. And that deals with the age group 8 to 11. As we have already discussed, it builds on activity-based pedagogies of the foundational stage. Here we have textbooks. We have more formal learning environment. We take children alongside, maybe field trips. In the class, even, they go for the different labs we introduce over here. And that the idea over here is experiential learning. And assessments here involves observation and short written tests. This is preparatory stage. Next is middle stage, which is for the age group 11 to 14. Next stage. The focus of the middle stage, it shifts to subject-based learning. More formal instructions are there. We emphasize disciplinary depth. Here, our idea is 21st century skills development, critical thinking. We want to develop curiosity in the students. We want to have problem solving skills in them as students are assessed. Here comes essay as well. Along with formative, we have summative assessments too. Coming up to the next, that is secondary stage, which is divided into 9th, 10th. One is grade 9th, 10th and grade 11th and 12th. The curriculum here allows for flexibility and specialization. What I told about maybe PCM, maybe PCB, PCMB, we have commerce stream, we have, like lot of relaxation has been there. Now it doesn't have to be physics, chemistry, maths and bio only. It can be physics, chemistry, economics. So NAP has made so many changes, no more compartmentalization as well as subject streams are concerned. So flexibility and specialization is there. Students are here exploring multiple disciplines, and that is what the main idea of NAP is there. Coming on to a next, which is very, very interesting fact, is the Panch Kosh Vikas. It is five-fold development, which is a cornerstone of the Indian tradition. It is a keystone in Indian tradition, which imagines holistic human development. Actually, this Panch Kosh Vikas describes a child as a whole being with 5 layers, and these 5 layers are called kosha. One is Annamaya kosha, which is physical layer. Pranamaya kosha, which is life energy layer. Manomaya kosha, it is mind layer. Vijnanamaya, that is kosha, it is intellectual layer. And Anandamaya kosha, it is inner self layer. And remember, each kosha has distinct characteristics, but all are interconnected. And the practices that focus on one kosha, it contributes to the development of the others. I'm sure a few of the publishers might have approached us, and now the new books which are coming up, they are actually concentrating on these koshas. So let me tell you, this Annamaya kosha, it focuses on balanced diet. It focuses on traditional games, yoga, and physical activities. In fact, the idea behind it is development of motor skills and maintenance of the
Sorry, ma'am,
physical
can you
health.
repeat the significance of each of them, the koshas again? Sorry.
I'll tell you. I'm just going through that only. First is Annamaya kosha. This refers to the physical development in children. It focuses on balanced diet, traditional games, yoga, and physical activities. And here it enhances the motor skills. It maintains the physical health in the students. Coming up next is Pranamaya kosha. After Annamaya kosha, it is Pranamaya kosha. It is actually the life energy development in the children. Here we teach them breathing techniques. We give them voice training and self-awareness. It builds life energy and it ensures smooth functioning of the major body systems. And these systems are respiratory, digestive system, and circulatory system. This is pranamaya kosha. Next is manomaya kosha. Manomaya kosha is mental or emotional development, and it involves concentration, emotional regulation, handling how to handle negative emotions, developing virtues, and it is emphasized through arts and vocational education. Next is Vijnanamaya Kosha, that is intellectual development, and it involves observation, experimentation, critical thinking, creativity, and a journey towards self-awareness. And it actually leads to spiritual realization. If you have learned about those IQs, so this is SQ over here, spiritual quotient. And Anandamaya Kosha is spiritual development. The last Maya is spiritual development, which is through Anandamaya Kosha. It encourages happiness, love, compassion, inner exploration, and a journey towards self-awareness. So these koshas, if developed well, we are actually here referring to the holistic development of children. And NCF, National Curriculum Framework, it applies Panch Kosh framework to 8 curricular areas, and it promotes a holistic educational approach that integrates physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual development for a well-rounded education experience. If any doubt, please ask. Otherwise, we move on to the next. Okay, next. Yes, very important. These are the stages of reading in our children. Stage 1 is pre-reading. What is involved over here? Oral language and sound recognition. After pre-reading, we come to initial reading, where students learn decoding letter-sound relationships. Then fluency. They start understanding text meaning rather than just decoding. This is how reading development takes place in our children. After fluency, students start reading for learning. They start grasping new ideas and concepts. Then comes the next, multiple viewpoints, where children are able to understand different perspectives in the text, and it leads to the last stage, construction and reconstruction, where they are able to form and challenge personal worldviews. This comes in the last stage, that is secondary stage. So the progressive expectations are there. By the end of each stage, students will reach specific reading levels, and you will see stage 3 will be reached in the preparatory stage, and stage 4 will be there by the middle stage. Next. So here we have perceptual, practical, and theoretical concepts. Dear all, it is not possible for us to teach, to, go through all the 600 pages. We are trying to touch each and everything and just, give you an idea how concept formation takes place in children. There is perceptual concept. There are 3 types of concept: perceptual concept, practical concept, and theoretical concepts. So the perceptual concepts are formed. They are formed through sensory experiences. Example, children learn colors. They try to figure out with different types of shapes. After perceptual, there comes practical concepts. It is based on use of objects in social context. For example, where is the table? What is the chair? Where is the chair? So, whatever things they look around. And the last is theoretical concept, which requires systematic understanding, which is beyond their experience. For, when they start studying physics, they start studying economics, and then, chemistry. So this all comes in the developmental stage. Young children grasp perceptual and practical concepts, while theoretical concepts emerge later, particularly in the second stage. And now last is modes of inquiry. This is what we actually want our children to. What is inquiry? Why do you want this level of inquiry to be there in our children? We want our children to be curious. We want them to ask questions. And The different stages in child's life is, first is play and exploration. Here young children inquire. Here young children learn through play. They explore in a stimulating environment. Then comes capacities for inquiry. Children develop observation. They start collecting data and then analyze, analysis skills, develop in them along with literacy and numeracy. Now, what are the different methods of inquiry? Students learn specific methods related to different disciplines. For example, mathematics is there, science is there, art is there, and through this, they gain deeper understanding. And the last is disciplinary exploration, where students explore within disciplines. They start applying their knowledge creatively and they integrate interdisciplinary approaches to problem solving. So that was the idea behind chapter 2, and it is basically logic and concepts behind all these stages. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Aarti ma'am. Indeed, your mastery in the document was very much visible, and it was clear cut about each and every concept which you have been conveying. No doubt that you deserve a very big round of applause from the end of all the participants and the other resource person. Thank you so much for giving your valuable insights. And yes, hope next we are going to have in the upcoming days, we are going to have such wonderful topics from your end. Now, I would like to call upon the third resource person, Mrs. Jayavani Jayaraman, to take up the third chapter of the first part of NCF, that is approach. The stage is all yours, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir. Good job by Ashwini ma'am and good job, Aarti ma'am. Now, today we are going to explore the chapter that describes the approach taken by the NCF towards defining the learning standards, selection of content, methods of teaching, and assessment. So here we would like to turn next slide. So here we would just wants to know about the learning standards. So when we talk about the learning standards, what do you know about the learning standards? Anybody else? Anybody else?
Ma'am, the quality of the
Quality, okay, then. Okay. That's it. Okay. The learning standards are the specific statement that outline what students should know and understand and able to do in a particular subject or in a grade level. And there are three considerations when we talk about the learning standards. First one should be the clarity of the objectives. We should be very clear and clarity about what specific content the students are going to be known. And the second one will be the flow down from aims. Flow down from aims in the sense we should go broader thinking, and in the flow down of aims, we'll know about the aims, goals, objectives, and as well as the learning outcomes. So when we talk about this flow down for aims, it's very important in these three considerations of learning standards, because because the aims is also an important, and regarding the goal is also an important, and what the students is going to learn from the objective and what outcome is going to come from it. Then the next one is consistency. When we talk about this one, we talk about the method, about what it is being connected toward the whole sessions, what it has been learned. Then the competency and the learning outcomes is always will be like linked to each other. When we talk about this, these two are very important and essential components. Is being designed by the curriculum design for knowing about the skill and knowledge. For example, we can tell about the communication skill, and we can tell about what are the learning outcomes. It differs from stage wise. When we talk about the learning outcomes from a student, we can talk about what outcome has come. We can just test them by the approach what we just tell them. We just comes to know about the communication skill and other skills also can be done. Any other skills can you tell it apart from this communication skill? Apart from the communication skill, can you tell me what will be the outcome from for the learning standards?
Critical thinking skill.
Ma'am?
Critical thinking skills.
Yeah, very good. Then, ma'am?
Ma'am,
Critical
there are
thinking.
like problem solving
Problem
skills,
solving.
critical thinking,
Yes, ma'am.
analyzing,
Yeah.
Decision
right?
making.
Yes.
Yeah.
Observation skills.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Decision making skills.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. So this learning standards is very important. This will be the key step for approaching to any category of the stages. Either it is a foundational stage or preparatory stage or middle stage or secondary stage. They should know about the way to approach about the standard level. The next slide, sir. So here comes the next very important thing about the curriculum content. When we talk about this curriculum content, no, we talk about it was also depends upon what Aarti ma'am has said. What it is the sense is we comes to know about the same 4 stages will be repeated over here also. When we talk about the content categories, no, it depends upon the textbook what we use, workbook what we use, and what technology we use in for teaching the children, and what will be the learning environment. So any other thing apart from this content categories, you can tell me, right? Any other from this? Any other?
Ma'am, what I feel, the environment in which the child is studying in the school and the home environment, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
Learning environment is not only the home environment, as ma'am
Yes.
told, no, in last session, we will be telling about, last field trips, tours, even. We can just
Yes.
make them
Yes.
to learn from what they have. We can just take the case study from the students, what they have learned from the environment also. So, yes, ma'am, someone say something?
They can also develop social skills.
Yes, ma'am. Social skills, not only learning environment differs from subject wise, differs from the 4 stages also. We can take the children to the lab. We can take the children to the ground to learn. Even when we talk about this, PT departments also comes under the learning environment. The second one is content. Yes, ma'am.
Language skills are also developed. Right.
Yeah, ma'am. When we talk about the content, it is about all this language. We talk about everything, ma'am. It's not about not about language. It's about the whole curriculum, whatever it is, because the curriculum content differs from grade wise, right?
Ma'am, excursion or field trip, whenever we took the children to there, from there also they learn outside the classroom. Now they can connect.
Exactly correct, ma'am. Even see what we used to do, no, we used to narrate stories for the foundational stages. All we used to narrate stories. We just take them to the park. We just tell them this, that, all. But it is differ from the preparatory stage. It is different from the other stages. All it depends upon what grade we are teaching. It depends upon what type of children we are handling inside the school campus. So that's very important. And the next one, when we say about the content selection, no, what content selection is regarding the age appropriate. So we cannot go and teach a 6th standard child about the reproduction part. The 10th standard, 11th standard, 12th standard, where those who are been in the part of secondary stage can be taken. So the content selection is also is very important thing in the curriculum. Ma'am, content selection of particular stages of the books is very important. Do you accept? Do you all accept over this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Then the next one is rigorous process. The rigorous process is nothing but it is a continuous process, actually, thorough process. We should follow it regularly. What the development. So when we talk about it, refers to thorough, systematic, and transparent methodology that ensures the quality and reliability in a various educational contexts. So all these curriculum content is really very important when we talk or when we act according to the approach for the learning standards. So when we talk about the learning standards, curriculum content is also very important. And the next one, the next slide. So the next one will be the pedagogy principles. So when we talk about the pedagogy, every teacher knows about the pedagogy styles. So when we talk about this, no, actually the children are natural learners. Actually, the children are really a good learners. They always be active. They will be very eager to learn and to respond with the interest to new things. So when we talk about all those things, no, here we are going to see about the 4 strategies what we be using. The first one will be respect for diversity. Respect for diversity, we have to inculcate them in the classroom itself. The classroom is different from home atmosphere. It is different from the society. So we should know about the diverse things. We should teach them during the festivals. We should teach about their cultural attitudes. It differs from the home environment and towards the class environment. So the respect for diversity, we have to inculcate them in the classroom itself during the different festival seasons. By see, we have many of all the schools started to do about the they used to have one day fully about the Christmas events, one day fully about Krishna Jayanti, and one day fully about they used to tell about. So all regional culture also will be there, and their traditions and customs and their culture all will be learned in one classroom atmosphere. The next one is about engagement with the life. So we have to teach the children. How come? In the sense, by comparing with the real life examples. So whenever we just teach the children, apart from the textbook, apart from the content, we have to give them a real picture of real life experience also. So it will be very useful for them to keep it in mind forever. Then various method strategies also we can be used. So when we talk about this various method strategies, apart from the narrating stories, that this all, no, it's very simple. What we can do in the sense, we can just have a debate section, or we can have a discussions over there, or we can just have a group discussions. So there are many levels where we can just have the learning method or strategy towards the children. The next one, we should really avoid the punishments. So we should never use to give a negative concept or negative thinking to the children. Suppose if a girl or a boy or whatever, he or she does any mistakes, no, we have to call them separately and we have to tell them, because they are all, nowadays the children are very sensitive, no. So we should never use to tell any negative points in front of anybody else, so that they feel very bad. They feel insecure sometimes. So punishment should be avoided. At the same time, we have to take care about the children. In all the stages, we have to do all those things, because this is really a very what to say. When we talk about this punishment area, no, every teacher will face any sorts of problems inside the classrooms. When we talk about, do you accept me what I'm saying, ma'am? Can you have, I mean, everybody will be having an experience regarding this punishment. Yes, am I right? And sometimes, no, and sometimes, no, the students feels very guilty. They'll come and ask sorry in person only. They won't ask sorry in front of others. They'll come towards our cabin and they say, ma'am, what we did is sorry. We are sorry. Like that, they used to say. So, for we also know what we have to do, no, in person. We have to go and tell them. Nowadays, the children are like that only. They are not 90 kids or 80 kids. They would have bent their head and tell, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. It's not like that all. Nowadays, they are all, I mean, what to say, they are all very sensitive, very emotional. Handling the adolescent stage is really, it's a very tough job. So all these things comes under the pedagogy principles, and these 4 principles is also very important. The next is very, very important for the approach to learning outcomes is nothing but the assessment. So please, the next user. So when we talk about this assessment, no, always we used to tell about formative assessment, summative assessment, that, this, scholastic, everything we used to say. But actually, the assessment is assessment for learning, assessment of learning, and assessment as learning. So when we talk about assessment of learning, no, it is a measurement, or we can say about the achievement of the child's career. So whatever, oh, you have taken A plus grade or A grade or B grade, we are measuring the students. It will comes under the assessment of learning. It will be go on to the tops when we tell about the toppers list. I'm sorry to say we should not say toppers. Everybody is like, but when we talk about the assessment of learning, it was only for some persons alone, some students alone. But when we talk about assessment for learning, we are just having an interaction between the teacher and the student, and they know about, okay, this student has not written also. She is good in this area. She will be lagging in maths, but she will be good in English. She'll be lagging in English, but she will be good in science. So the entire covers, it's an interaction between the teacher and the particular student. So it will comes under the assessment for learning. And assessment as learning is towards the introspection level, what we are just seeing. As such, the children learn from the teacher. What the teacher narrates, the students as such, she listens, she grabs all those things and just writing as such. So nowadays, we just want assessment as learning only. So there are three really it is be needed: assessment for learning, assessment as learning, and assessment for, of learning. So these three assessment is also very important. And when we talk about as per school rules and regulations, and when we talk about this NCF all, no, this formative assessments plays a very important role. When we talk about this formative assessment, we always used to focus on written test, practical test, and some more tests. You tell me, no, you are all very expert now. The September month also has come. You all will be very busy in doing your formative assessment, right? Tell about the formative assessment, what report you have given to your children. Anyone? I just want everybody to interact.
Quiz, in form of quiz,
Okay,
in
quiz.
In form of, that is, diagrams, practicals, projects.
Practical test, yes. Practical test is there. Apart from quiz, then now the curriculum has introduced one more. We are going to implement it, the next one. You just tell me what is that. That is a very important thing. I'm expecting anyone to say that answer.
Their behavior also, we can judge their attendance.
Yes, ma'am. But when I'm talking about this formative assessment, I'm just asking about one which has been included, which has been just added. Yeah, case study. Art integrated case study. Apart from that, it was a very big town. It was a very big talk about everybody. Is it so? Is it so? Formative assessment is it?
Art integrated activity, which is like Ek Bharat Shreshtha Bharat. Those.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No one would have heard. Actually, when NCF has released this, no, the state board students are all asking about this only.
Formative assessment about is
competency-based questions always is there, ma'am, Jyoti, ma'am. Yeah, hands-on learning, yes, Suchi, ma'am, but okay, I will tell. That is nothing but. Yeah, I will tell. That is nothing but open book test.
Oh,
now we have open book test, right?
Right, we do take, ma'am. Yeah.
Now we have open book test, ma'am.
Yeah,
now even yesterday I did in class. What did I do? No, I just written 10 questions in the board. Okay, 10 questions in the board. I told them to read it, and I gave 10 minutes for them to just complete those question and answers. Open book. So we are just introducing many things for the formative assessment for improving and developing the child. So formative assessment, when we talk, we are not only talking about the curriculum, we are talking about practicals, we are talking about open book test, all those things. And apart from this assessment, we should know about that framing or designing a good question is also very important.
Right.
So good question is also very important. The question should build overtime practice. It should be an MCQs. We have to decide. It should be an MCQ question or case-based question, or it is a descriptive question. We should frame the question where the students are able to develop their knowledge. And marking scheme also is important when we talk about assessment. For fully correct question, what mark has to be alerted. For partially correct question, what answers to be, what things to be marked. If the question number is not written and the answer is correct, what marks should be alerted. So marking schemes also is very important. It is in the hands of the teacher where they have to do their assessment properly. Do you agree with me this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
when we talk about this assessment, we always think about the student's role. But
Childhood.
apart from the student's role, teacher's role is also very important in framing a question and marking schemes also. So it all will reflect in scholastic card. So the scholastic report is nothing actually. What is that is? It's a communication between the parent and the school. Do you agree? Everyone is agreeing that?
Yes,
Are you
ma'am.
agreeing with it? Yes. So it only, ma'am, anyhow it has been telling about it is a communication between the school and the home. It is about the scholastic progress card brings out each student's progress, individual progress for their development, for their individual growth, everything. And now we are just having in this generation, we just started to do about the artificial intelligence also. So artificial intelligence also, what we are just doing now, we are just tracking the students' performance. That's it. Other than that, we cannot tell about artificial intelligence. It is just, we are just tracking about the students' process. So any doubts in this assessment or any doubts in your curriculum content or approach to the learning standards, you can ask me any questions regarding that. Do you have any doubts? Okay then. Now then I hand over to Saima ma'am. Sir.
Yes, before the mic is handed over to Mrs. Saima, I would like to really appreciate Mrs. Jayavani Jayaraman from the bottom of my heart. The way she has brought out the discussion among the people while quoting about very, like intrinsic and sensitive topics like pedagogy, assessment, and, regular practice that has to be given to the students in the classroom and all. Indeed, it was wonderful and it was very informative at the same time. I suppose everyone has got a clear picture about it, and condensing such a big chapter into few slides and presenting it in such a way that teachers get what they want, that the way she churned out the cream out of the milk, I should say I am really impressed by that. Congratulations, Mrs. Jayavani Jayaraman, and keep up the good work, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Now it's time that the mic is handed over to Mrs. Saima Siddiqui, who is here to give her insights about the last chapter of today's part, that is approach of NCF 2023. Yeah.
Good evening to all the educators present here. So before I start the last chapter, that is chapter 4, time allocation of part A of NCF, I would like to quote a question to you all. Imagine that you have a day wherein you are free, totally free, you have no commitments. So do you think your day is going to be productive? Yes or no? Please answer in the chat box. Is your day going to be productive if you have nothing planned, you have no commitments, and then your day is totally free? So do you think your day is going to be productive? No. Yes. And if we plan our day, you make a to-do list in the morning, is your day going to be productive then? Yes. So we have seen in chapter 1, 2, and 3 that which schools have been doing, and then there are so many new activities which it is suggesting the schools to adopt. So national, curriculum framework for a comprehensive education system, wherein time allocation is very crucial. in ensuring that school can implement this framework effectively. Do you think it is important for us to plan a day well for the student to implement NCF? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So this chapter, which is time allocation, emphasizes that a balanced curriculum is required in all the areas. This means not letting one subject dominate the other subject and take their time. And it emphasizes in equal and the balanced allocation to all the subjects for the all-round development of the child, for the holistic development of the child. So next slide. Yes. So, what are the principles of time allocation? It is about careful planning. Time must be allocated thoughtfully across different activities and subjects. Your child, the student is there with us for about 8 hours or 9 hours. The time that the child is spent in our school should be properly planned so that each and every minute of the child is productively. For this, the teachers have to plan the day very, very thoughtfully, and the planning should be such that each and every minute of the child should not be wasted, and the child should experience a proper and an intense learning experience in the school. Contextual adaptation. School should adopt the illustrated timetable according to the needs. Although NCF provides illustrated timetable, but then it has
Excuse me, ma'am, your volume is not very clear. I think you've moved away from the mic.
Is it not clear?
Now it's clear, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, you're completely not audible, Saima ma'am. Just check your.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So I was telling that NCF is providing the illustrative timetable to all the schools, but then it has given the flexibility to all the school to plan the timetable as per their need and as per their demographic status. About the local culture where the school is situated, so they can plan the timetable according to their need and the educational need of the child. So if it is a rural area, then the schools can plan some activities wherein some agricultural needs or some experiential learning of the child can be catered. But if the school is in the urban place, in the urban area, then the school can plan some activities where they can include some activities wherein technology can be involved. Yes, sir. Next slide. Yes. The NCF also emphasizes and gives suggestions about the content load reduction. That means whatever is the content that the curriculum is that followed, it suggests, NCF suggests that the content can be reduced. Now, what are the advantages of reducing the content? Number one, it promotes the conceptual understanding over the rote learning of the child. It emphasizes that the conceptual learning of the child is more important than only by that the child is only learning a concept or without understanding or mugging up the concept. When the content will be reduced, it will be a focused learning and the learning experience of the child will be enhanced. The second advantage of content reduction is allocate. That means allocating time in the areas where physical education, vocational education, and other activities can be included. That means giving an experience to the child which is not only based on the academics of the child, it should also cater the needs and also enhances the life skills among the child. The NCF also suggests to rationalize the content. That means across the subjects to ensure the focus on the essential concepts, not exposing the child to the concepts or the areas which is not essential for him or her to learn. So if we rationalize the content, then the child will be exposed to the certain areas where he should only have the focus on the essential concepts. Yes, sir. About illustrative timetable content, increasing, it also suggests that the schools can increase the daily hours in the school. It doesn't mean that increasing the hours doesn't mean that it doesn't suggest that the timetable may show more hours, but does not imply a heavier content load. It doesn't mean, or it doesn't suggest that increasing the time for the child, then the child should have more subject knowledge. It suggests, the NCF suggests the school that the school should plan the day for the student wherein variety of activities can be included, be it the vocational training, some experiential learning activities, some activities where the children will learn the life skills, some activities wherein, the student should have the in-depth knowledge about the subject. So the day of a child should be very thoughtfully planned by the teachers so that each and every day is a new learning experience for every child. It should also focus on the focused learning, as I said earlier, that eliminating the concepts which are not essential for the child. For a child, the school should focus on the quality of the education, not on the quantity of the content which we are delivering to the children. The core competencies should be prioritized over extensive content coverage. So this is very important that a child should be exposed to various activities so that the holistic development of the child can be taken care. Yes. The foundational stage, that is the stage where the children are in this stage, they need to be exposed to the environment because they need to learn from the environment. So NCF suggests that the daily structure of the day for this stage should incorporate a mixed kind of the timetable for them, that is the guided and the independent activities. The teacher should act as a facilitators at certain times, not as a guide. At times the teachers can act as a guide wherein, it is totally structured. They should tell the students this, you have to do this and this has to be done. Wherein some part of the day should be like they should be left on their own. The teacher should only be a facilitator here, and they should gain their knowledge, their experience, and they should learn from their experiential learning. For example, the teachers can plan a circle time. When can anyone tell me what are the advantage of the circle time when a circle time activities planned in the school? What are the advantages? Why it is a circle time only? Why is it not in a line or any other shape? Why is it a circle time? Why do we call it a circle time?
We get chance to go around the teachers.
Yeah, ma'am. So that the teacher can focus on each and every child.
Okay. Any
So we get a
other
chance to play around the teachers, no? Why
So
won't we
we
do this?
so all
Let us
children
think,
get equal
let us think from the
opportunities.
perspective of the child.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Communicate
When they
with
sit in a circle, they face each other. When they sit in a circle, they face each other, and this way their social skills are also enhanced. They sit in a group. It gives them the chance to discuss on the topic. Yes, everyone can share. Yes, others also can. Please tell what are the advantage of this activity, circle time activity? Knowing the
communicate.
behavior of the student,
Uh,
communication. Yes,
yeah, communication. Then, they will learn to, when they are in a group, they can play also, they can listen, they can discuss, they can share their things or
yes.
any like stories, whatever like they want to share with them. That also helps
Yes. So circle
collaborative.
time is a very good activity for the children of this stage,
Ma'am,
wherein,
circle, excuse me, ma'am. In circle time, everybody can face each other. You know,
yes,
that's the most
yes,
important
yes,
thing. And then everybody comes out with, I mean, they can face each other and tell about each other whatever they are doing. That is why circle means in a circle, all of them are able to face each other
yes,
and
And ma'am, it
yes.
will be
And
learning with fun.
It will be a learning with fun.
With
And
fun.
each and every child will get equal opportunities when they are facing each other, because you observe the circle has no end and no starting point. If they are standing in a line, there will be some children who are standing in the beginning. There will be some students who are standing in the end. But in a circle, there is no end and there is no beginning point. So they are all equal. They get equal chances, equal opportunities. And then we see that there are certain students who don't open up in the classroom. But then you will see a change in them. When you will make them sit in a circle, they will start speaking. So this is something which is going to enhance their social skill, and they are going to collaborate with each other. Yes. Also, the school can, we are actually doing it. The break time is already there, but then NCF also suggests schools to give them some snack breaks, like something which, like fruits they can eat in between, which can energize them. And then, the monotony is broken, and then they are re-energized to for the next activity of the school. Then work time, then art and craft, and then outdoor play. It shouldn't be like, these activities like vocational training, then art and craft. At times, these activities are ignored on the context of the academics. So these activities should also not be ignored, art and craft, which gives opportunities for to the children to enhance their creativity. And the third one is focus on development domain, which says that ensure the balanced development across physical, cognitive, social, and emotional areas. Yes, sir. Next slide. Moving on to the middle stage, here NCF suggests, like in the previous stage, it was, guided and unguided. The teacher had played a role of a facilitator. For this stage, that is the middle stage, NCF suggests that the longer and the structured days, that throughout the day, the day of the student should be very well structured and very well planned. The classes for the various subjects should be organized into blocks. Blocks means, school can have two periods of a particular subject one after another, which will give chance to the teacher to give the in-depth knowledge about the subject to the students. They will have ample time to ask their doubts. They will have ample time to understand the concept. Yes. For example, morning assembly, subject specific period, and then lunch break. It also emphasizes on independent learning, encouraging children to engage with material and other own, where the teachers can provide some material to the students, giving them a chance to learn on their own, and giving them a chance to learn with their own pace, giving them a chance to learn through experiential learning. Some hands-on activities can also be included so that, students under the guidance of the teacher learn on their own. Yes. Activity-based learning. Yes. Yes, sir. Next comes the next stage, that is secondary stage, which tells about, classes of this stage should be around 50 to 100 minutes to accumulate and design the learning of the students. Weekly structure of the activities should be include regular assessment, event and enriching periods. And then additional enrichment period can also be planned for the student, wherein the student can be divided into various groups, and based on their difficulty level, their understanding level, students can be given some extra help, and some additional enrichment period can also be included for them. Yes, sir. Weekly routine overview, like all the schools have assembly and then subject classes and then breaks. It has given, structure about the day of the student, but then it is very flexible for the schools. The NCF has given a suggestive timetable also in its framework, but then it is flexible for the schools to, change it. Subject enrichment activities, multidisciplinary approach can help this stage. Integrates a mix of core subjects and additional activities like sports and arts because we emphasize on the holistic development of the child, and holistic development of the child is only possible when the day has a variety of activities including the academics, the sports, and some period wherein the students can can get some hands-on activities, then they are able to enhance their creativity. All this, the day should be planned in a way which gives an exposure to the child in various fields. Yes, sir. Yes. The NCF has suggested the schools to have at least 10 bagless days for hands-on learning experience and exposure to vocational skills. The NCF has suggested the school to include 10 days in their annual planner. It should be planned properly so that students get hands-on learning exposure. What do you think? Why are bagless days important? What do you think? Why are bagless days important? What are the benefits of having a bagless day in the school? Yes,
Ma'am, to focus on more on activities rather than academics that day.
focus more on activities. Yes.
Experiential
Any other
learning,
benefit of having the
It
bagless day?
helps. It helps in enhancing the relationship between a student and a teacher and help them knowing each other better.
Correct.
Also, I
Interpersonal
believe
skills.
students of this era, they don't have proper exposure to the community. So, in the recent circulars also, when CBSE has, given instructions for conducting bagless days, the emphasis was more laid upon taking the children into the community, giving them insights about vocational education. So, bagless days have a very big, intention behind it, I suppose.
Yes. The bagless day, when a child will experience a bagless day, it will be a day for a child wherein, the stress will be reduced. It will be a day where there'll be no stress for the children because they are not carrying their books, they are not carrying their notebooks. So it is a day which is wherein they are very stress free. It will promote the creativity in the students. Yes, do you agree with me? It will promote the creativity in the students.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, it will also encourage the interaction between the students. The students will not be involved in just listening to the teacher or noting down the important points from the board. They will be interacting with each other. They will get to know each other. So this is one more important in benefit of having a bagless day in the school. Then it will be a learning beyond the curriculum. Yes, it will be a learning beyond the curriculum. They will have some vocational education trainings, then they will have some experiential education. Then we can take them to some field trips and then let them experience various factories. And then it will be a fun day wherein they will interact with their peers and it will be a good day for learning. So this is another advantage of having a bagless day in the school. And it will also
Excuse me, ma'am.
break the routine. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, some guests can also be invited to share their experiences with the students.
Yes, very nice, very nice. Some guests can also be invited who are an expert in a particular field, and then the guests can interact with the student and give them an exposure and some suggestions how can they improve. Then vocational exposure to the student in grade 6 to 8 will engage in the courses like introducing vocational craft like carpentry, gardening, and pottery. Hands-on internships like students will intern with local experts to gain practical experiences. Then field trips can also be organized. The students will visit various historical or the cultural states and meet the local artists. As ma'am suggests that we can also invite an expert to the school who can interact with the student, who can guide the student. Like some career counseling session can also be organized for the students. Then it will be a learning beyond the classroom. It will break the monotony that every day the child is sitting in the classroom under the four walls. Then it will be a day wherein the student will be outside their classroom, learning on their own pace, learning in their, environment. And it will be a practical learning experience outside traditional classrooms. Then it will be, the NCF is also suggesting that schools should include this bagless day in their annual calendar. Schools will include these bagless days in their annual calendar timetable. NCF timetable incorporates the 10 days bagless days for the students. So this was all in this chapter. And it says that the gist is that at each and every day of the child should be planned so that the child should have a very productive day. So this was all in this chapter, the time allocation, the fourth chapter of Part A NCF. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Saima ma'am. How wonderful was that? Allocation of time is always a very big question mark in the minds of the school heads. Though we have several ideas, and though we have several lots of knowledge as in what to do, but still always there is a quest among the heads. Is there something new to do? Is there something new to do? So you have addressed all those questions, and definitely you have fulfilled the quest of all school heads who are in this particular webinar today. Thank you so much. It was indeed wonderful. Thank you so much. Now, immediately, I would like to request our resource person as well as the regional coordinator of Hyderabad SNTTC, Mrs. Jyoti Iyer, to immediately conclude today's webinar. The stage is all yours, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. First, I would just like to clear out that I'm just going to summarize what we have already learned. Sometimes we tend to zone out, So to just quickly summarize, I'm just going to use this chance to remind you of all the things that we learned about today. I am summarizing a summary, remember? So there will be some things that will be skipped, but you have already gone through the entire detailed presentation. Now I'm just summarizing in short for somebody who has maybe joined a little late. We can start, sir. So within the first chapter, that is aims and curricular areas of education, we saw what is the guiding vision of the NCF, which draws from the NEP. And we saw the foundations for learning. The first part we learned about was the aims, which there was a good discussion with Ashwini ma'am. So those 5 aims are cognition, that is your brain function, health and well-being, community participation, economic participation, and cultural participation. We talked about it in detail during the presentation. The core competencies that we were talking about, how these have to be also inculcated, are the knowledge, the capacities, and the values and dispositions. After that, we talked about curriculum. And here we talked about school culture, school processes, and the curricular areas. The school culture and school processes we will talk about later in a later chapter in much more detail. School stages, here we talk about the logic of why it has been designed in a certain way. Basically, we talk about how child development is the natural process, and there are various stages and domains involved. These are the domains, which is the physical, linguistic, cognitive, socio-emotional, and moral domain. And then there is the stages, which is infancy, toddlerhood, preschool, school age, and adolescence. These are then further divided into our school stages as well. Coming to the curriculum and capacities, we talk about the reading capacity, perceptual, practical, and theoretical concepts, modes of inquiry. This is directly connected to the complement, like it complements the developmental stages, play and exploration, inquiry, and disciplinary exploration. Then we talk about the stage-wise design. This is what we were talking about, how there is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. This is foundational, 3 to 8 years, preparatory, 3rd to 5th grade, middle, that is 6th to 8th grade, and secondary 9th to 12th grade, where it will be further divided into 9 and 10 and 11 and 12. Chapter 3 talked about the approaches to learning, where the first thing was that we talked about is the learning standards. Now you have to remember that this is kind of one inside the other. We take the aims of school education. Can you go back, sir? The aims of school education are the most important thing. From that, we gain the curricular goals. Within that, we decide our competencies age-wise. And then finally, from that, we do the learning objectives. And then there was application in class. How do you apply these things? There is curriculum, which is based on the stages of development, and pedagogy, which should be based on the knowledge capacities and value disposition. So now we know why we learned that. The assessments, we talked about in a lot of detail, how there is formative and summative assessments. These are the types, and the forms are the oral, written, practical, which we all know about, and also open book test, which is kind of newly introduced. Finally, coming to time allocation, basically how we the idea is to reduce the content load. There is a lot of detail given your grade level wise, your subject wise. So I would suggest you go through it within that itself, because it will give you a lot more specific detail about your subject, your grade level. With that, I come to the end of my summary. Thank you so much, sir, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much for that wonderful conclusion, ma'am, because learning is always, incomplete without concluding on regular intervals what we are learning. So these 5 days also, apart from we are doing it as a proper, like session wherein we'll have a proper introduction, a middle engagement, and a conclusion, because we are educators and we are nothing without these 3 steps. Thank you for that, Jyoti ma'am. And now we have come to an end of today's session. See, within 1.5 hours today, all the educators sitting here, we have got the gist of the complete first part of NCF 2023. How many of you agree with me? Just raise your hands. Yes, I am there. Yes, yes. Wonderful, wonderful. I can see many raising their hands. Thank you. So, yes, before we wind up the session, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our resource person, Mrs. Ashwini Srinivasan, as well as Mrs. Aarti Killan, Mrs. Jayavani Jayaraman, Mrs. Saima Siddiqui, and then Mrs. Jyoti Iyer as well for their wonderful contribution towards today's session. And no doubt we are going to have many such more, wonderful insights that we can get from them in the upcoming 4 days. We are done with one day. There are only 4 more days for this learning to happen. So I would like to request everyone not to miss this opportunity, because we might not get this again and again. So that's all for today. And coming to the other part, like always, we are keen about how to grab a certificate. As you all know, the people who would like to grab a certificate for this session, they can forward an amount of rupees 50 to the phone number. Just a second. 9908925730. So this is the phone number. It is my number. Kindly, if at all you would like to grab a certificate for this session, you can send the amount of 50 rupees either by GPay, PhonePe, or Paytm to this number, and kindly send your name along with the screenshot to the same number, so that we can send you within 24 hours your certificate. That's how it is. And we also have one more, facility this time. People who attend session for all the 5 days and complete the whole NCF training will get a certificate, the 6th certificate, free of cost. For that, we will not charge you, which will be a certificate of participation, as well as certificate that states that you have the complete knowledge of NCF and you have participated in 5 hours webinar. That's how it is going to be. So thank you so much, one and all, and see you all again tomorrow in the upcoming session. Those who would wish to give your feedback about today's session, you are welcome. You can unmute yourself and you can give your feedback. May I request Mrs. Pushkarini to give her feedback, please? Pushkarini ma'am, are you here? Yeah. Anyone who would like to give your feedback? Virali ma'am? Yeah, if you can unmute yourself and speak.
Hello, sir. This was a very informative session that we had today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
Good evening, sir. This is Dr. Arshi Gohar. I just want to give my feedback. It was very comprehensive yet very informative. And the most important thing which I liked most, what about koshas? Like we are going back to our Gurukul system, and it shows the richness of our tradition and culture. That is the best thing, because we know again the system is going from teacher centered to the child centered, and we as educators should have a proper information of NEP as well as NCF. So it was lot of learning. Thank you so much, and looking forward for more sessions like this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, sir. The session was really like, it was specific, and it was in a time where we included many parameters that we want to learn under NEP. So it was a really good session, ma'am. Sir, thank you so much.
Good evening, sir. I am Ruchi from Gurgaon, New Delhi, Haryana. Sir, it is I have attended few more sessions in at different platforms, and many things I understood. I will say with the help of the PPTs which you have used, I understood those things very nicely, and it was a very informative session, sir. Very good, sir. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. This is Dola Bhattacharya from Kolkata. I just wanted to say that this session was an eye opener for us. I think that would be the only expression which I can use. And looking forward for this type of sessions, which will really enrich us and help us to go forward along with the present education system and make the students also walk with us. Thank you so much.
Sir, you were saying that about the certificate, that we will be getting the certificate of participation, right? And
Yes, yes.
we are not going to give the a screenshot of the payment or something, right?
You have to send a screenshot of the payment along with your complete name to the
Acha.
same number on WhatsApp. Yes.
All right, sir. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Anyone else?
Yes, sir. This is Punita from Delhi.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, this session was very informative. We got a plethora of information in a concise tablet form. So it was very, concepts got very clear. In this
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Yes. Yeah. So I suppose it's time to wind up because it's 8:45. And I know that you all have to go and give food to your to all the family members who are waiting at the dining table. So thank you one and all once again. Yes, 4 more days is left to complete NCF. So let us all join together again tomorrow and during the rest of the 3 days. Have a great sleep, sound sleep, and let us all wake up tomorrow again and get back to our jobs. Thank you.